What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. We've got the brand new... when DZ's title goes real, bullying John Moore. We've got the new Orphegel series here. We're just gonna roll through this, and it's got a lot of interesting monsters. It seems to be based around a symphonic sort of feel, and it's pretty awesome. It actually brings Ibli and Ningirsu into the fold as cards. You see almost a robotic-looking Ibli over here, 1800 Link 2, as well as our 2500 handsome Ningirsu. A lot of these cards are weirder, though, because they have multiple arrows that point upwards towards the opponent, because they rely actually on being linked to your opponent's cards for their effects, which is pretty interesting. And then we have two traps as well. I have to assume we're going to get some spells, but then again, Necroz's never got its trap cards that it mentioned, so we'll kind of wait and see. But on our first card, we've got Orphegel Cannon. And it's a level 1 Dark Machine tuner effect monster. So interesting that it's a tuner there. Maybe some...
It's also brass instruments.
Ooh. And it's attack 500, big booty at 1900. You can only use this effect once per turn. You can banish this card from the graveyard. Summon an Orphegel monster from your hand, except for Cannon. But you cannot special summon monsters except dark monsters for the rest of this turn. Now, this is somewhat similar to the others because each seems to have a similar summoning method, but goes a different route. The level 3 here at 1200, 1500, you can only activate this card's name effect once per turn. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target an Orphegel monster in your graveyard, except for, is this Scarezo Skeleton? Special summon that monster, but you cannot special summon monsters except dark monsters the rest of the turn. So the first one's hand, second one's graveyard, and the level 4 here seems to be Divertimento Devil, a level 4 Dark Machine effect monster, attack 1700, defense 1400. You can only activate this effect once per turn. You can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon an Orphegel monster from your deck, except Orphegel Divertimento Devil. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except for dark monsters. So the same kind of restriction, the same restriction on each card is the once per turn, and it goes from deck, grave, and from hand. So progressively, each level seems better in a sense, as from hand, that's okay. I guess you could have link summoned or synchroed away, and then you continue out of your hand. But obviously, recurring a resource from graveyard is better than that. And even better, not having to rely on your graveyard, relying on your deck for the level 4 seems to be the absolute best. Now, all these
and it's also worth mentioning, just real quick, that the of the effect monsters, they're all different band sort of sections, and there is no woodwind section yet, which means we can expect another effect monster. Anyway, back to John.
Alright, we have Deviminto was as well as Devil, so that's what it's named after. I thought kind of that might be obvious. Orphegel Galatea is a link to Dark Machine link effect monster, so machines, that's also interesting. I didn't actually register that these were machines. All of them are machines. That's pretty cool. So our Ibli, so to speak, and it's got a top right link and bottom left, which is an interesting position. It's a materials 2, including at least one Orphegel monster, so it is Orphegel locked. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. This link card cannot be destroyed by battle, so that is also with your opponent's monsters. And you can target one of your banished machine monsters, return that monster to the deck, and then set an Orphegel spell or trap card directly from your deck to your side of the field. This is where I think they'll get spells in the future at some point, but we have Necroz's cards that do mention trap cards as well, and then we never got that, so kind of take that with a grain of salt, but I would assume at this point in life, Konami would go ahead and give something that's put on a card of purpose in the future, unless it's just to raise the ceiling at some point. Alright, then we have Orphegel Longirsu, so definitely Ningirsu, like, no debating that. A Link 3 Dark Machine Link Effect monster at 2500, and it's got top left, top, and bottom right, so 2 upward arrows for only 1 downward arrow. And our Link 3 here takes 2+ monsters, including at least 1 Orphegel, so again, locked. You can only use the second effect of this card once per turn. This linked card cannot be destroyed by card effects. So you see the first one kind of can't be destroyed by battle, this one by card effects. And we already had the orchestration actually revealed, but I haven't gone over it, so we'll go over it next. But it kind of gets both of those. So we go up through, it seems like this entire archetype goes like better as you go up the line completely rather than dancing around. Haha, see what I did there? You see, nope, nobody. All right. This linked card cannot be destroyed by card effects. You can target 2 of your banished machine monsters, return those monsters to the deck. Then you can send 1 monster your opponent controls that this card points to the graveyard, but this card cannot attack this turn. So you can't attack this turn, but the next Orphegel monster only takes 2+ monsters. It's not like you need 3, so you can just go straight up into it after not attacking with this card this turn. That's not the biggest deal. And with the 2 arrows that it has, you can cover 4 out of 5 of your opponent's monster slots, so it's unlikely they have it in the one there that would avoid this. And your next one actually can point towards that slot that they'd be avoiding, or your Ibly-like monster could be pointing towards that zone also. So it's not like you can completely avoid, you know, having these cards point towards you at all. Next up, we do have the big guy, the organ, and it's Orchestrion. It's a Link 4 Dark Machine Link Effect monster, attack 3000. It has top, right, bottom, left, and bottom straight down. And like I said, it's materials 2. It needs 1 Orphegel monster, so your Link 3 can just go right up into it. You can only use the second effect once per turn. While this card is linked, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, so gaining both. You can target 3 of your banished machine monsters, return them to the deck. Also, if your opponent controls any face-up monsters that are linked, the attack and defense of those monsters become 0, and their effects are negated. So basically what he points to gets totally nerfed and taken care of, and that's pretty darn good overall. I feel like this monster, since it doesn't need to be co-linked, is pretty powerful. It's likely you're going to be able to activate that, and it almost feels better going second, because as a castle it can just be taken by Borreload. It falls to the Beal syndrome where it can be targeted and spun or taken care of, but as a way to blow through a field, that's pretty darn strong, and it doesn't have that restriction for attacking. Now let's go over these traps. I did read these earlier during DZ's stream here, and they seem pretty booty to me, but let me know what you think. The normal trap card is when a monster declares an attack, you contribute 1 Orphegel or World Legacy monster you control, then target 1 monster your opponent controls and banish that monster. I get that this could be quote-unquote free because it can be set, but you're, first off, having to be attacked. Second off, you have to control an Orphegel or World Legacy monster and get rid of it by tributing it, and then you take care of your opponent's monster after having to target that monster. It seems like a lot's going on there for not the biggest payoff. It's a 2-for-1 off the bat, so that seems pretty bad, even searchable. And the continuous card, Orphegel Core, once per turn, you can banish 1 monster you control or in your graveyard, then target 1 Orphegel or World Legacy card you control, except for Orphegel Core. That card cannot be targeted by effects for the rest of the turn. So you have to preemptively do this versus something that could target. So even something on summon targeting, you would have to do this before. So it's kind of limited in its practical uses, and at least you can banish a monster from your graveyard for its cost. It's not strictly, you know, from your field. And then if a Orphegel or World Legacy card you control, except this card, would be destroyed by battle or effect, you can send this card you control to the graveyard instead. I wish this was like banished from the graveyard, because even though it's continuous and it's supposed to stay up there, I still feel like its first job of the other cards, the battle card, which sucks, and then this card having to do that, like, you're losing it from the field. It's just not that good, but at least it's searchable, I guess. Out of the 2 traps, it's the better trap, in my opinion. Overall, the monsters are a lot better. I like that it goes up the line through the levels. We don't have a level 2 yet, so maybe that's your Woodwind there, DZ, because we have a 1, 3, and 4. And we have a Link 2, 3, and 4. So I don't think they're done with it yet, but it's cool that they continued through the Mech Knight kind of lore and continued up this pretty awesome art. And I'm happy with it. What's your guys' thoughts after hearing everything?
I just want to see a saxophone instrument. No, but like the Woodwind card will almost certainly be an effect monster. It'll have saxophone, clarinet, flute, all that sort of stuff. And I'd like to see like a bonus effect. I think that they're really setting themselves up for that. If not in this set, in a later set. So that's cool.
Yeah, no, I think this is gonna be really interesting. I like the whole musical theme they've been going with for a lot of the archetypes. Like the entire Nightmare archetype is all based around musical symbols. So that got me pretty hyped. But I think this archetype's really, really special from like the fact that they all do something in graveyard, and I'm really looking forward to see what else they have.
All right, well, thanks Nim them as well. Be sure to sub to both of these guys and check out Doug's live streams as well.